When I first started my journey of abstinence, I did not know if it was possible. I did not know if I was strong enough, and I did not know if it really meant anything to God because I had already had sex. I had already, my cherry was popped. I was not a virgin anymore. In biblical standards, I was not clean. And so that was a whole lot for me to deal with and to work through for myself. Like, how am I going to be honest and authentic about the fact that I am proud of myself for pursuing a journey of purity, pursuing a journey of abstinence, but that I was not always this way.
This is What School Didn't Teach Me, a podcast meant to build community on all the things school doesn't prepare you for. Hi, I'm your host, Jasmine Kiamber, and class is in session.
First things first, let's take a good look at my makeup. Let's get a close-up. On that. Today, I did my makeup with concealer instead of foundation. Period. I really like the look. It's simply because I'm about to take my hair down, and no reason to do a whole beat when I'm about to literally wash it off immediately after this. Hello. Welcome to the classroom. Class is in session. It's your host, Jasmine Camber, and I am so excited that you're here today. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to have you in the classroom. Let me put this away. These are my emotional support mambas. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad to have you, so excited, so happy to have you. If you are an OG, you already know how I feel about you. Thank you so much for being a part of this community and really making it what it is. Amen. There literally couldn't be no What School Didn't Teach Me without the classmates. So I'm so grateful to you for continuously just showing up, being a part of the community. If you're new here, What School Didn't Teach Me is a podcast. We are here to build community on all the things that we literally did not learn in school. There are so many things that school teaches us. However, there are so many things that we had to learn in the school of life. There are so many things that we had to learn on our own. And so I started this podcast because I was in college and I was watching everybody struggle to adapt with this newfound freedom, but also this unspoken expectation that because now you are an adult, you are supposed to know certain things. There are certain things that you are supposed to just understand or have together, and none of us knew it, right? None of us knew how to be financially responsible because that maybe wasn't something prioritized in school. None of us knew how to really handle conflict with our friends because when you were a young person, it was okay to just fight and be petty. It was okay to just ignore people. Whereas when you are an adult, now you have to have healthy communication. Now you have to set certain boundaries so you don't get to a space where you don't want to speak to somebody anymore. And so I was watching the people around me struggle to advocate for themselves, struggle to really show up for themselves, and even struggle to show up authentically. But nobody was talking about it. None of us were really talking about the internal struggles we were going through. It was more so just, oh man, this teacher really got me messed up. Or it was a more so passive approach to dealing with the adjustment. Like, I remember being in school and having friends who did not know how to advocate for themselves academically and therefore took very passive approach when it came to their grades. Like, they would come and talk to everybody else. Like, this teacher got me messed up. I should have got this grade, but I got this grade. But now that you're an adult, you have the responsibility of going to your teacher and saying, hey, I don't feel like I got the grade that I deserve. And so because we weren't necessarily taught that, that's not something we knew. And that's something you had to like literally do for trial and error. And so different instances like that happen not only in college, not only in school, but literally in life, right? How am I supposed to know how to negotiate for a better raise? How am I supposed to know how to advocate for myself in certain friendships when I don't feel like I am being treated properly? How am I supposed to know how to do that if one, they're not teaching me that at home or in school, but then two, I'm also not talking about it with the people who are actively going through the same thing. And so What School Didn't Teach Me is a space where we come and we talk about literally all the things that we're going through together. And so if this is your first time here, welcome to the classroom. I hope you stay. I hope you enjoy the community. A lot of it is just me talking about my experience, but then if there is information that I just simply cannot touch on as well, I will bring somebody in. I love having guests on the pod. I love having candid conversations on the pod. And so I bring somebody in just to talk about, well, for this particular theme, the theme is represent and represent. And so how I was talking about earlier about how important it is to show up authentically. I am only so many forms of representation. And so this season I have had the privilege of talking to a multitude of different people who can provide different points of view and maybe can help you along your journey of figuring out who you want to be, making sure you are solid in your journey on the way there. Yeah, we've had some amazing guests this season, so I really suggest you go and check them out. The last 2 guests we had were my Pastor Dietrich Haddon. Give him a hand. First of all, that man got on the pod and immediately started talking about politics. He is hilarious. But he came on the pod and kind of talked to us a little bit about how important it is to, as a Christian, like not shy away from people who are still finding their way, and how that creates division in the Christian community, how that creates division in I know we talked a lot about, like, kind of straying from the concept of religion and more moving towards the concept of relationship, but how that puts a strain on your relationship with the people who say they serve the same God as you and your relationship with God itself. So if you have not checked that episode out, I will put it over here for you to watch. And then we also had my friend Julia. Oh my gosh, I so enjoyed the conversations that I had with Julia. I actually was just watching that episode back just to watch it. And so we talked a whole lot about, she and I both work with youth. And so we talked a whole lot about how, how the representation or lack thereof that you have growing up sometimes is a direct fuel to what your calling is supposed to be now that you are an adult, or now that it's your turn to contribute to the world. And so Julia has been a great inspiration to me and to her community on how to not become a product of your environment, but then also like how important it is to just pour back into the youth of the community. Like, stop telling kids that they ain't never been through nothing. Stop telling kids that what they're going through is not a big deal. Stop telling them that they have not lived life, when we all know that it is your youth years that dictate the rest of your life. So if you have not checked out those episodes, please do. Those were some wonderful episodes. And so I'm so thankful that you all pushed me to have guests on the pod. I asked for season 3 what you guys wanted to see more of, and you said more guests, more collabs. And that really put a push on me to be like, okay, who can I get to pour wisdom into classmates, drop gems on the classmates. And so as a result, I have had some amazing conversations with some amazing people, and I'm just so grateful for it. But today you got just me. And so today a lot of times when it's me, I talk about my own life, my own personal experience. I literally pray about the topics that I'm going to talk about. It's so crazy because I was talking to my friend about the pod, and I was talking to her about a really hard dilemma that I had when it came to the pod. And I was telling her, like, I deem What School Didn't Teach Me as a faith-based podcast because I know this podcast is from God. God literally, y'all know the story. God literally would not wake me up out my sleep about this podcast. God literally would not wake me up out my sleep. No, God literally would wake me up out my sleep about this podcast and would not let me go back to sleep about this podcast. And so I know that this podcast is God-given. I know that this podcast is a gift. I know that it is my responsibility to steward the conversations that we have on this podcast. It's my responsibility to make sure we're having responsible conversations. And that is my way of stewarding. And I was telling my friend, like, I consider What School Didn't Teach Me to be a faith-based podcast. But when I watch a lot of other faith-based podcasts, they are very scripture heavy. They are very almost preachy, almost sermon-esque. And I don't think What School Didn't Teach Me is like that. Like I've done some episodes, of course, like I've talked about scripture on episodes. And I've done some episodes, like we had accidental Bible study. And that was a great episode, just about me telling you what I've learned in Bible study. And we talked about, like, you know, Job and his friends. And like we talk about the Bible on What School Didn't Teach Me. We talk about faith and we talk about God on What School Didn't Teach Me, and how that is detrimental to your personal development. But I am not as, you know,
if you hit this video, this message is for you.
Like, I'm not that, you know, and I am not, while I am in my word, I'll be honest, while I'm in my word, sometimes the stuff that I talk about are not necessarily connected to what I'm reading. Like this morning, I'm in 1 Samuel right now. Y'all, I've been jumping around in my Bible studies. Like, I literally started in 1 Samuel, and then I was like, oh, okay, let me go back so that I understand 1 Samuel better. So then I went all the way back to Numbers. Then I read Numbers. Then I read Deuteronomy. Oh, you can't see my fingers. Then I read Deuteronomy. Then I was like, oh, okay. Well, I need to know what I need to like. Oh, then I read Leviticus. And Leviticus teaches you about like what you are supposed to be like as a Christian in the Old Testament. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I need to know what I need to be like as a Christian in the New Testament. And then I read Romans. So I skipped all the way to Romans, and I was like, man, this stuff is good. Like, oh my gosh, all I really need to do as a Christian is like learn how to love and be open-minded and open-hearted, and but also to guard my heart and to be kind to people, but also be okay with like having to spread wisdom with people and to not being afraid of the gospel of God. Like, but also not telling people what to do, like respecting people's free will, but also not being quiet about the fact that I need to testify about what the Lord has done for me. Like, this is good stuff. And then I finished Romans, and I was like, oh, okay. And I think I read like Luke or something. Like, I just was like, oh, okay, next. And I read Luke. And then after reading Luke, I was like, okay, this is a grip. Get it. And so now I'm back in 2 Samuel. No, that's not even true. I read Proverbs because at that point it was the New Year. So after Luke, it was the New Year's. So my church reads Proverbs for the beginning of the year. Like, it's 31 chapters in Proverbs, 31 days in January. So we read it together. So I finally read it. That was my first time reading Proverbs all the way through. My second attempt, but my first like finale, I guess, my first time finishing. So I read Proverbs all the way through, and then I was like, let me read 2 Samuel. So now I'm in 2 Samuel, and I just read about Anon and Tamar. Is it Anon or Amon? But David's son who assaulted his sister. So David's son who assaulted David's daughter. And I read about that this morning, and I was like, wow, Lord. And so I could not pinpoint anything that I read today that directly relates to the topic of today. When I do feel like there's a scripture that aligns with what I'm talking about, I definitely make sure to remember to mention it or to look it up. But I say all that to say that sometimes I feel like, is What School Didn't Teach Me really a faith-based podcast? Because we're not quoting scripture up and down, and we are not saying this is what thus said the Lord, and this is this and this is that. And so I was talking to my friend Valisha about it. Hey, Valisha, I love you, girl. I was talking to my friend Valisha about it, and she was just telling me it's okay for you to still like, it's okay for my space to be sacred. And it was a reminder that part of stewarding the podcast is making sure that the conversations that we have are sacred. Is to make sure that I'm praying about a conversation or I'm praying about a guest before I have them on the pod. And so even the episodes, down to the episodes that we talk about, are like, okay, God, what do you want me to talk about? Like, I have an idea, but you tell me what you think. You tell me what you want people to hear. Like, you use me as the vessel. And so that is my own little piece of, I guess, imposter syndrome, or my own little dilemma that I have sometimes of like, am I full of faith enough? Is the podcast full of faith enough? But I'm not a preacher. I'm not a preacher. I'm a regular girl who is navigating life. And I have I have only presented myself as that. And so I will continue to only present myself as that. And so as I, in my daily life, continue to like quote scripture or meditate on scripture and hold things closer to my heart, then I'll be able to share them with you. But for now, I can only share with you what I know and what is genuine to what I am studying. And so, yeah. Hold on. I think it's time for an emotional support, Mamba. Ow!
2 hours later.
Y'all, that mama chewing started getting real. I had to cut the clip. And so all that to say, speaking of spirituality and the Lord, on our last solo episode, we talked about, I talked about
What?
season of singleness. And so the title of the episode was de-idolizing relationships. And I was telling you about how like I am now in this season where I'm not just single. I'm single and I'm like actually glad to be single. I'm actually glad to be like by myself. I'm actually glad to not have to worry about anybody else. Like I still got people I need to consider in my life, but like I'm glad for it to be just me worrying about me. So we talked a lot about that was not last week's episode. That was the last solo episode. We talked about like, just how I used to be in this season of like, okay, when is somebody gonna like me? Hold on, I'm still playing with the light. I used to be in the season of like, okay, when is somebody gonna like me? When am I gonna find my one? When am I gonna find my Boaz? And now it's just like, okay, God has kind of placed me where I'm supposed to be. And God has placed me right where I'm supposed to be. And I am satisfied and I am content and I am proud. I am proud of myself for who I am outside of a relationship, because it's easy to be like, it's having a partner, having the right partner is like, to me, a constant round of applause. It's so easy to get reassurance from somebody who loves you, somebody you love. And it's easy to do that with like your friends and your parents and stuff like that. But it's different when this is a significant other. Like literally their job is to cheer you on, is to lift you up. But there is a different kind of work that you need to put in when it is just you. Not to discredit anybody's work ethic, but it's a different type of pride that you need to have when it is just you. When you can't turn to the left and be like, hey, I did a cartwheel, clap for me. Like you, or at least that is what I've experienced. And so I did not always have that about myself. I was not always proud of myself. I was not always paying attention to the things that I could do outside of my worth as a woman, as it relates to the male gaze, as it relates to somebody being attracted to me or somebody, dating me. And so I found my identity not just in who I am to men or who I am to guys, but who I am in Christ and my role in the kingdom. And so funny enough, two parts to this. One, let's start with the conviction first. One, I got convicted on that episode because I said something that I said something out of speed and not out of thought, right? In the episode, I said that you can go two ways. You can date to marry, you can date to date, and that it does not matter either way. And literally after I stopped recording the episode, I really thought to myself, and I was just like, that wasn't right. Like I just was like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, that wasn't right. Like I don't even believe that. Like I am now, at one point I did for sure, but I think now I am in this stage of like, especially since not putting so much value into not putting so much value into the fact that I am in a relationship and more value into like who I am dating. I realized that no, it does matter. Like you should be dating to marry, because whoever you are spending your time with should have intention. And if you are being intimate with a person, and by intimacy, I don't mean sex, because you shouldn't be having sex with them anyway. Sorry. If you are being intimate with this person, if you are kissing this person, if you are sharing intimate dreams, if you have intentions to like really be romantically invested in a person, then that investment should come with a goal. We should not be in a space where we're doing things for the plot anymore. Like at that point, we should realize it's not healthy. Like doing things for the plot is not healthy no more. If you are dating someone, it should be with the intent to make the next step. It should be like, okay, I want to get to know you to see if we could just go ahead and make this next step. Not, I want to date you because I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And so that's on me. I am correcting myself because I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to make sure I'm saying the things that I mean, and not just the things that sound good, not just the things that come to my mind when it's quick, being more intentional about the way I steward this platform. And so with that being said, that was on me. That was something that I said that I didn't necessarily even believe. That doesn't happen often. I don't want y'all to be like, this girl just be saying stuff. That doesn't happen often, but it did. But because it did happen, I wanted to make sure I addressed it. Yeah. And so I wanted to first talk about the conviction that I felt. So that was the conviction, because it was like, oh my gosh, that wasn't even the truth. Like, tell the truth, shame the devil. But then too, since that episode and posting promotion about that episode, I have seen a lot of either other podcasts or other Christian creators talk about people just be doing stupid stuff. Talk about both sides of the coin. One, talking about how, like, as single Christians, we don't want to hear some of the stuff that I said. Like, we don't want to hear that it'll come when you least expect it. We don't want to hear that it comes when you stop looking. We don't want to hear this. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. Stop telling us we're idolizing marriage. And it was like, whoa, girl. Whoa. And mind you, these are people that I assume, because I don't have a list of people who listen to the pod, but these are people who like don't know me. I barely know them. I guess it's just a conversation that is really circulating a lot lately. And it's like there is nothing wrong with the desire. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the desire of wanting a relationship and wanting somebody to be around you. But it's different when it's like, this is all you think about. This is all you pray about. And then those nights when when you think nobody is watching, you are thinking about your wedding night. Like you're thinking about, you're making intentional steps to appease the male gaze instead of focusing on whatever you're supposed to be actually doing. You worried about Tyrone, who is coming around the corner. Like there's a difference between being like, okay, God, I think I'm ready for my one, and God, even if I'm not ready for my one, give me my one, because then I'm gonna get ready. Like there are two different things. Those are two different things. Dang, it was something else I wanted to say about that. I can't remember, but yeah, it's like there's nothing wrong with the sometimes we think we're ready. Like if you feel like, okay, God, I'm ready, give me my one. Sometimes we think we're ready, and it's literally something. There's a reason why God has not given you your one. There's a reason why God has not given you your husband or your wife, for whatever reason. And then it just might be because you're not ready. There is something in you that is not ready or not prepared, or there is something in you that God is doing so that when they come, it's not a problem. Like, if God is still working on you being solidified in your identity in him, then he needs to work on that before he brings you your one. Yeah. And not saying like there are certain conditions, like you have to have your life together before you get married. God, I am not the Lord. God does all things well, and he does things in his own timing. However, a lot of times we have to steward ourselves a certain way before we expect to be able to steward a relationship the right way, and to still be able to put God first. Like, God has to be able to trust us, and we have to show ourselves trustworthy. So yeah, so literally after that episode, I have seen a lot of clips of people being like, oh, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. Like, oop, you didn't want to hear it, but I'm still say it because it's still the truth. But then I also recently saw a post that was like, singleness is not a season. Singleness is not like a trial. It is a route. And I thought that was a really interesting and special take on it, because we always say my single season, my single season, my single season. We don't ever say my married season, because you're married. Like, you expect to be married for life. You expect once you say I do, it's I do and I'm done, you know? We don't ever say, oh, okay, like this is my married season. I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to think that you're going to be single forever. I don't think I'm going to be single forever. Praise the Lord. But it's like, okay, usually when we say we're in a season, it's not a good one. Like, I rarely see people bragging about their harvest season. I see a lot of people talking about their waiting season, their quiet season, their isolation season. And then you throw your single season in there and it doesn't sound appealing. Whereas there are so many, it's not like you are less of a person. I know, finish your sentence. It's not like you are less of a person because you are a single person. It's not like you are less of a person. It's not like you mean less in the kingdom. It's not like you can achieve less because you are a single person. No, it just means right now you are focusing on you and the Lord. And that's all you need to be focusing on. And see who you can be there, so that you can bring all of those things, all of those characteristics that you enjoy about yourself, all of those hobbies and habits that you have picked up, those trips to Italy, those cruises, and those dance classes, and whatever else you pick up because you make the most of your time as a single person, as a person who does not have to worry about another person. You can take all of that into your next relationship, into the next stage. Or into your marriage, because you're single until you're married. So yeah, that. So I just wanted to speak my piece. Third thing on my agenda, y'all, we are having a live pod. This episode comes out closer to the live pod. Let me see when this episode comes out. In 1 month and 1 day, we are having a live pod. That almost makes me emotional because that means it's coming up really, really close. And if you know me, you know I have a really hard time talking and sharing about anything. But if you are watching this, then I've already posted about it. I've already did some advertising. Y'all, I would love to see you come out. Like, live pod, real physical. I can see you. You can see me podcast. And so we'll be doing it at my church, at Hill City Church. The address is 1119 West Pacific Coast Highway. I would love to see you there. We're going to have some raffle games. You're going to get to see me. We're going to get to have a live pod. We're going to talk a whole lot. It'll be a little interactive. I'm so excited for that. And that's also making me realize how much more work I need to put into making sure it is executed, because it is, by the time you see it, it will be a month away. And so there are some final touches that I just need to make. But I have not advertised it at all. I have dropped I've said it in, like, the Friday Night Lives. I have said it on the episode with, who did I say it with? On the episode with Julia Davis, but I have not, done a proper advertisement. Hopefully by the time you see this, I will have done it, but I have not done proper advertisement. And I have this like huge fear of like, things not going right, of like me wanting to do things and then people not coming out to support, or people not like caring or wanting to do it. Like, I just get all these like little bad negative feelings and thoughts. And so trying to do this live podcast has been a serious test of, one, my faith, and if I'm going to hold up my end of the bargain when God tells me to do something, or when God trusts me to do something. But then also it has made me really get serious about like asking for help. Really get serious about the fact that this podcast is a big thing. It's more than just a podcast, but it is a brand. We're going to get to talking more about that. You should have an RSVP link. By this time, we should have an RSVP link to signing up to RSVPing for the live pod. I'll put them in the show notes. Visit those show notes And if you're going to be there, if you've RSVP'd already, put it in the comments. Type, I'm there, okay? Tell me if you're going to be there, because I need to know. I need to know that y'all going to be there. We are in Los Angeles, California. And so if you are in LA, if you know some people in LA, if you are planning to come, bring your friends. It's free. I should have led with that. It's free. I don't want y'all to pay to have to come and see me, at least not yet. I'm really doing this for my own, to prove something to myself. I'm not doing this to make money off of it. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm doing it just because I want to prove that I can do it. I want to move What School Didn't Teach Me as a brand and not just as a podcast. And so I'm so excited to, really start building that community. And so I really would love your support in just being there. May 16th, doors open at 5:30. Okay. If I was really big like that, I would do it with Megan Ashley, with Megan Ashley and Jackie Hill Perry, and they did their advertisement for Acts 23. That was fly. That was fire. They put it at the beginning of every episode. I didn't do that. It's okay though. I want you there. A live pod, real live, not just a Friday night live. No, a physical, you are in my face, I am in your face live podcast. Please be there. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So boom. Let's get into our topic for today, because I spent the first 30 minutes talking. Well, no, that don't matter. Let's get into our topic for today. If you don't know, which I've never explicitly stated on the podcast, so I don't expect you to know. I don't want to be presumptuous. That's just something people say. If you don't know, I do not eat meat. Oh, I have said this on the pod. I talked about it on my 2024, the things that happened to me in 2024, the things that, some of the goals that I got to achieve. So about a year ago now, I stopped eating meat. And I still eat fish, but I stopped eating meat and I stopped eating dairy. No dairy-based ice cream. I never really liked milk, but no butter, no dairy-based things, no cream cheese, no cottage cheese, no sour cream, no nothing. No chicken, no beef, no chicken wings, no chicken tenders, no pork, no bacon, no nothing. I do eat fish. I do eat dairy substitutes. So oat milk, almond milk, soy milk based, coconut milk and coconut cream based products. And I did that because I did that because, okay, this is about to get TMI, but we got to get real on here. I did that because I have really, really, really bad cycles. Really, really bad. To the point where when I was in high school, I would have to get wheelchaired out of school because I could not walk without feeling faint, without feeling like I was going to pass out. My legs would just feel like jelly. It would always be the first or second days of my cycle. I could not function. And that started when I was about 15 years old. I got my first cycle when I was 12 or 13. I think I was 12. Got my first cycle when I was 12. And then by the time I got 15, I would physically get sick. I literally remember one time trying to go and to the bathroom to have peace and quiet and not being able to make it because my cramps were so bad. And so I was literally sitting in the middle of the hallway floor and somebody walking past and being like, "Are you pregnant?" Oh my God. And I wish I could slap the mess out of them today, but I didn't. I just was no. But it was just, I could not walk. My cramps would be so bad. And so I did not think, I remember a teacher telling me in high school, you are going to have to do something about that, because when you go out into the real world and you have a job, they're not going to care about your cycle. They're not going to care that you are sick. You're going to get fired. And I was just girl, forget you. Because I was just I'm going to be the best worker they done ever seen. And so they're not going to fire me because you're going to understand that I'm sick and not feeling well. And so, but I did just think that was a part of me. I did think that for years, there was nothing we could do about me being sick. And I considered going on, I actually did. I went on birth control. I went on like 2 different kinds of birth control. They both gave me horrible reactions. I tried the ring and then I tried the pill. And I tried the ring, and the ring had too many hormones. And it would literally make me feel depressed. Like I did not have energy. My body just had a hard time adjusting to the extra estrogen or whatever that was, happening. And so I literally could not get out of bed. I did not have the energy. I did not have the motivation. I was sad. I was irritable, all the things. And so as I was already having issues with my mental health, my mom was just like, no, tell them you need something new. Get off of this immediately, because I was already struggling. I did not need an extra chemical imbalance, And so then after that, I tried the pill, and I would take the pill, and the pill literally gave me blood clots. I would look down and it would be blotches on my leg, blotches on my arm. And, blood clots can kill you. I didn't know that at the time, because I was just it's okay. I can just wait it out till they don't give me blood clots anymore. But blood clots can literally kill you. And so I got off of birth control, and so I'm not interested in getting back on birth control. And so it wasn't until I became an adult, I want to say until, let me see, what really put it on for me? Because I know it was in college. I don't know. I don't remember what did it, but I know it was in college. Maybe my second year of college, when I realized there are some natural ways that I can kind of soothe my body, that I can kind of not have such bad periods. And so years of trial and error, I'm still figuring it out. Some days are still okay. Some first days are okay. Some days I feel like I want to die. Some days I just don't. I just can't. I just literally cannot. But I have found some things that work for me. And so I go to the apothecary shops, and I get certain teas, and I try to drink them routinely. And I'm about to try some marshmallow root, which is supposed to be good for your gut health. And I believe that will help me with my cycle. I'll report back on that. It's soaking in my kitchen right now. But it put me on this map, or this journey, to get into more holistic things that will help me with my cycle. And I had got COVID. Oh my gosh, y'all. I got COVID one time, and I was taking medicine, over the counter medicine, and it was not helping. And then I tried some natural, I made myself a natural tea, and I felt better instantly. And I think that was a clicking moment for me, when it was oh, I've got to stop taking medicine. I still do take an aspirin or an Excedrin or whatever. But it's I've got to stop prioritizing pills and certain medicines when there are things quite literally in the ground that can help me feel better. And so currently, I have spent the last couple of years just investing in my health so that my cycle is not so bad. Specifically my menstrual cycle, because there are 4 phases. So that specifically my menstrual cycle is not so bad, but then also when we get to the luteal phase, I'm not as fatigued, or I'm not as, down, honestly. And so I say all that to say, I changed my diet for my cycle. I remember I had gone on a fast with my church, and after the fast, I had the easiest cycle in my life. We did not eat dairy. We did not eat meat. I had the easiest cycle of my life. I still was doing the day-to-day things. It wasn't a difference in my level of stress. It wasn't nothing. I just cut those things out of my diet. And when I felt better, I was okay, maybe this is a lifestyle change that I need to keep up with. And so that changing, not eating meat, it has been one of the biggest changes that I have made towards having a better cycle. I'm still figuring it out. If you had a bad cycle and you know what works for you, let me know. I would love to try anything natural. I would love to just try it out and see if it works for me. Currently, I drink the teas that I drink have a lot of raspberry leaf in them. They have a lot of raspberry leaf, Don Quai, oat straw. One of the teas that the guy made me, it has something else in it. But of course, we all know, like, not we all know, but raspberry leaf is common. It gets brought up a lot. Oh, rose hip, because that smells good and tastes good. But I have a tea that kind of has all those things in it, and it's really good for me. I drink it a week before my cycle, and it helps. Then like making sure that you're like going regularly, that really helps. And then, you know, dairy. I know for me, I have asthma. You're learning a lot about me in this episode. I have asthma. And so the kind of asthma that I have is there's easily buildup in my lungs, phlegm buildup. And so I learned that phlegm and mucus can also be a contributor to really, really bad cramps for me. Because I'll never forget one time I had finally settled down. I had finally come off of like a dry heaving spell. I was settled, I was calm. And then on my cycle, on my first day, I don't eat because I can't eat. I can't smell anything. I can't taste anything. Keep that potent food away from me. I eat like a little cat. Like I eat very minimal food on my first day. But I'll never forget, I was like, oh, okay, I'm finally okay. I'm going to eat something. And I ate a slice of cheese pizza. And when I tell y'all, I took one bite and immediately got sick again. And it was a click for me like, oh, that dairy be messing me up. And so now I've cut it out of my life and it's made a major difference. Again, I'm still working on it because I believe that I can have like a pain-free cycle. I believe that for me. I honestly, I put that in God's hands. But that is, I have had to like do trial and error to figure out what it is that my body is okay with and what are some things that I just really need to cut out. Even if it's something that I've been eating for a long time, I just need to cut it out. And so I say all that to say that around this time last year, I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating dairy. I changed my diet. I still eat fish. Love fish. I don't think I could give up sushi. Let me not say that because the Lord might make me and then I'm going to have to give it up. But, you know, I really like sushi. Y'all know that. We all know that. But one of the most common questions I get is like, is it not hard? Do you not miss it? How do you keep up? How do you, you know, like it's a lot of questions on how am I able to sustain a lifestyle of no meat and no dairy when I grew up off of a lifestyle of heavy meat, heavy dairy? Because my family is Southern. Like, of course, I'm Black. Hello, but like my family is Southern, so we eating oxtails, we eating pig feet, we're eating bacon and then putting the bacon fat in our eggs. Like we doing it up. We eating ham and cheese and you know we're doing it all. Shucks. We eating chitlins and livers and all of that. Like, well, my family won't really eat chitlins like that, but we eat liver, and so it's like we put, you know, cream of mushroom in the gravy. We put heavy butter, heavy whipping cream and everything. And so a lot of these questions are coming from family. Like, how do you do it? It's the state of like almost a little bit of admiration, but almost like, okay, well, what is your social life like now? Because you don't eat these things. And you know, me and my mom, we did it together. And so that's one thing we always start with. Like, it's so helpful to have somebody else doing the same thing that you're doing, especially because we're in the same house. I think it would have been way harder for me to sustain this diet if she was not also not eating meat. I think I could do it, but would I be as disciplined? Maybe not, you know? But then would I reap the benefits of having an easier cycle? No, I wouldn't, you know? And so that's always helpful. Having somebody else in the house with me who is on this journey with me is helpful. But then also, you know, because me and my mom, we make this joke that we be eating fish for convenience. Like, yes, I love sushi, but a lot of times it's like, oh, okay, I'm eating fish because, you know, the restaurants we're going to, they're not vegan. You know, we're still going to like some regular places, but for convenience, it's convenient for us and whoever we're eating out with, or whoever I'm eating out with, whoever I'm with, that there is you know, I might not eat meat, but there's a fish option. You know, it's convenient that way. Because some people who are not vegan or are not vegetarian are not open-minded to eating vegan food, and that's fine. But But yeah, that plays a part. And so it's this joke that we be eating fish for convenience, because when we are at home or when I am at home, a lot of the meals we make are veggie based. And I say that to say that it is not hard. It sometimes you do miss it, because when food smells good, when food looks good, I'm not gonna sit here and deny it. You ate a chicken wing? Oh, that sounds so good. Oh, that Arby's commercial came on. Well, Arby's was a bad example. That Chili's commercial came on. Oh, that burger looks so good. Like I'm not gonna act like, I just gave up meat and now meat is the enemy. Like, absolutely not. Meat is still looks good, still smells good. But a lot of the things that make meat look and smell good are vegetables. Rosemary, thyme. The seasonings that we use come from vegetables. XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And so I'm literally not here. I'm not here to preach at you to like be vegan. I'm not here to preach at you about like I'm not here to like bog you down with information and facts. So let me stick to my story. A lot of times we hear from family, how do you do it? How do you keep up? And so for me personally, it's I have somebody who is around me who is on the journey with me, which means we eat meals, who I eat meals with, who I'm with a lot of the time, who if she's cooking something, I can smell what she's cooking. If I'm cooking something, she can smell what I'm cooking. And if we were on 2 different diets, it would be a whole lot harder. But then also we are able to keep it up because our bodies, let me talk about my experience. My body has learned to crave what I give it. And I have learned the importance of giving my body what it craves and not always succumbing to what I think that I want. You know, like your body might say, oh, I want a healthy snack. Like last night, I really, really wanted a snack. And my body was like, oh, yes, I want something sweet. And my brain is like, something sweet? Oh, eat some Mambas. Eat some candy, some gummy bears, some trolleys. We have all these sweets in the house, y'all, like actively right now. And my brain is like, oh my gosh, you have so many options. But my body is like, no, give me apples and peanut butter. And apples and peanut butter literally takes more work. If I wanted a gummy bear, I would just have to walk into the kitchen and open the bag of gummy worms and start eating them. If I want apples and peanut butter, I have to sit there. I have to cut the apple. I have to grab a plate. I have to cut the apple. I have to scoop the peanut butter. I have to, there are extra steps to really getting something that's going to nourish my body. But that is what my body craves. And so your body is used to craving what you give it. And so the only reason that my body can crave apples and peanut butter over ice cream and cake, over certain candies, is because that is what I'm giving it. That has been like a remarkable find since changing my diet. Like, that was something that me and my mom would constantly say. Like, I don't miss meat as much as I thought I would, because, well, one, there are meat substitutes, not just like, like soy chicken and beef alternatives and things like that. Like, not just the packaged things, but genuinely, like, if you take a mushroom and you put some steak seasoning on that mushroom, and that steak seasoning is literally made out of other plants, it tastes like, what do you think it's going to taste like? You know, like, what do you think it's going to taste like? If you take an oyster mushroom, and that was just like a belly mushroom. If you take an oyster mushroom and you fry it like you would fry a chicken, you put it in a wet batter with almond milk and mustard and hot sauce, and then you season it with garlic salt, seasoning salt, you season it with whatever else you want to season it with. I like a little paprika, I like a little cayenne pepper in mine. You know, you season it with all these things, and you double batter it and you fry it like chicken. What do you think it's going to taste like? You know, and so my body has learned to crave. If I ate salad every day for 21 days, by day 17, what do you think I'm craving for lunch? Salad, right? And I say all that to say, for anybody who's interested in changing their diet, it is not hard. It is not hard with a little preparation and a little creativity. That's another thing. I have this cookbook, this plant-based cookbook that I use that I love. And anytime I don't know what I want to eat, anytime that I'm like really, really stuck, I just go in there and see like what I want to eat. And she has like all types of things, like how to make plant-based Alfredo, how to make plant-based, like how to make like everything but the kitchen sink curry, how to make tofu ricotta. Like, oh my gosh. So it just requires you to be a little more creative. But yes, but I say all that to say, for anybody who's interested in changing their diet, it's not hard. You might have to meal prep a little bit. You might have to give up the convenience of, oh, I'm gonna just go to McDonald's. You have to be ready. You might have to be ready to invest a little extra coin. But really, with the way that meals, with the prices of fast food right now, it's really not that much of a difference. My mom and I went to McDonald's to get 2 fish fillet combos and spent $20 for McDonald's. At that rate, I could buy all the fruits and vegetables I need to make a meal for the week. So, planning out your priorities, meal prepping, yada, yada, yada. All of that to say, I think it's the same thing with your spiritual diet. I think that when we are working on our relationship with God, it is this expectation that now that you love Jesus, you need to automatically be able to give up whatever your vice used to be. I love God. I want to follow God. I automatically need to be able to give up smoking. I love God. I want to follow God. I automatically need to be able to give up drinking. I automatically need to be able to give up lust. I automatically need to be able to like drop all of these habits that I have given into my flesh for however much time that I've been giving into them. I just because I have made this decision, this single decision to love Christ, to follow Christ, now I need to be able to know how to give it up right away. And I don't think that is the case. I think that I will speak for me. When I decided to follow Jesus, I remember before I made the conscious decision, I would tell my friend that I needed to live first before I gave my life to Christ. Before I became a devout Christian, before I really became serious about my relationship with Christ, I needed to live. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to live? At the time, it was like, okay, I needed to go to college. I needed to drink. I needed to smoke. I needed to party. I need to have sex. I need to like be bouncing off the walls so that I could have a story to tell. So that I don't miss out on any fun now that I have given my life to Christ. And it's not like that. I did it. And it was not at all what it was cracked up to be. And in the middle of bouncing off the walls, I eventually hit my head and was just like, oh my gosh, I hate all of this. Like, why am I doing any of this? And so literally that is how God got my attention. Bouncing off the walls and realizing that that's never what I really wanted to be doing in the first place. I just wanted to make sure, I just wanted to know that I had a life to live. And not realizing that I could do that with Christ was fueling me to just do whatever. And so when I finally was like, okay, I know God is calling me. I know I need to bring my life to Christ. I know I need to be closer to him. It was really hard because I was still falling into a lot of vices. And so a big two things, like at the time I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with drinking. And so now I feel like I'm being now I feel like, okay, I'm getting the tap on my shoulder about that. But like at the time for me, it was like smoking and having sex. I knew I wanted to stop having sex. I was just like, I want to experience this journey of abstinence because I know that I am experiencing life with sex outside of marriage, and it is not what I want. But I had this spirit of lust that is on me. Same thing with smoking. It was like, oh my gosh, I know that smoking is not doing what it used to do for me anymore. I know that I am now needing to smoke more to feel something. I know, like I know and I acknowledge all of these things that are happening to my body that are not productive. And I would beat myself up like, why can't I stop? And my relationship with Christ personally has been a huge deal of grace. Knowing and understanding that God is giving me grace, and so I have to give myself grace. And so when it came down to breaking some habits, breaking some vices, it was, how am I going to break out of this if I cannot break out of this right now? And I think we have what I'd like to call a spiritual diet. If I am used to giving my flesh what it wants when it wants it, then my flesh is going to kick, scream, demand things, and I am going to fall weak. If my spirit is not strong, if I'm not feeding myself with the word, if I don't believe that I can get over this vice, I am going to fall weak or fall victim or whatever. And so I think our spirit starts to crave what we feed it. I think our flesh craves what we feed it. And I remember when I was really trying to establish discipline in my own life, in my own spiritual life, I watched a video that was saying your flesh is ruling you. Like, it was a sermon, and it was like, your flesh is ruling you because you give it whatever it wants. Like, whatever it wants. If it wants to listen to this song, you let it listen to this song. If it wants to text this person, you let it text this person. If it wants to eat this food, even though you know you're not supposed to be eating it, you let it do it. And it was an eye-opener to me that, like, I play an active role in what my body craves. I play an active role in what my spirit craves. And that means I can take personal control over what my level of discipline is. And so I literally would start, like, to date, I still do it, but I literally would start with, like, small things. Like, if my body wanted to listen to a song, I would be like, you have to wait 30 minutes. Baby steps. I would literally wait like the 30 minutes before I listen to the song. And sometimes after 30 minutes, my body has moved on to another song, or my head or my flesh has moved on to something else that I wanted to do or listen to. I've occupied my time with something else. But it's like, just not giving in to what my body wants immediately was me reinstating power over my flesh. Sometimes it will be, you want to listen to this song, but this song has curse words in it. This song talks about sex. This song talks about drugs, killing, smoking, all these things that you're trying to get away from. You shouldn't be listening to that song. So I literally would push myself to not give my body or my flesh what it wants, but to start listening to something else. To start, okay, you want to listen to this song, but this song is bad for you. This song is bad for your mental. Let's watch a sermon. Let's watch a sermon. Let's do some work. Let's find something edifying to start distracting yourself with, or to reroute your attention to. And I think it's the same, like that same way with my physical diet, that, okay, you want potato chips? Let's find a healthy alternative. I have to do that thing. I have to do that same thing with both my mind, my mental health, and my spiritual health as well. My mental diet and my spiritual diet. What am I filling my mind with? We talk about this. We have talked about social media so much. What are you filling your mind with? Are you filling your mind with videos of people fighting, or are you filling your mind with calm videos of people, saying affirmation to themselves, or, picking up a new hobby? Same thing with your spiritual diet. Are you guarding your ear gate? Are you guarding your ear gates? Are your ear gates just open and you are listening to whatever people say to do, and you are following whatever other people's instructions are, but you are not listening to or not feeding yourself with the word of God? What do you think your body is going to crave? What do you think your flesh is going to crave? How strong do you think your flesh is going to be compared to your spiritual weight? And so I think our body craves what we give it. I think if you are struggling with discipline, and I can only tell you this because it's something that I go through as well, so I'm going to continue to speak from my experience. But I think if you struggle with discipline in certain areas, like when I had trouble smoking, it was like, okay, I'm having so much trouble because when my body says, let's smoke, when my flesh says, this didn't work out the way you wanted to, let's feel better by smoking, I would do it. When my flesh said, you ain't got nothing to do right now or for the rest of the day, why not smoke? I smoked. So then when I was still working on my relationship with Christ, when I was like, okay, now I want to get serious with you, Lord, you think that just went away? No, my flesh was louder at that point. And it wasn't until I really started like taking authority over my flesh that it was like, oh, okay, I have power. I don't have to just give in to what my body says. Even when I'm itching and scratching, like you think it's hard to stop watching TV shows that I have fallen in love with the characters and I really love the plot. You think it's hard to stop listening. You think it's easy to stop listening to certain artists that I've been listening to since I was young. Like, no, that stuff is not easy. It's day by day. It's one step at a time. It's understanding that you are not doing this by yourself. It's understanding that your spirituality and your spiritual weight is literally a muscle. And that as you grow it and as you exercise, so I shouldn't say your spiritual weight. It's understanding that your discipline is a muscle. And the more that you exercise it, the more that you work towards it, the more that you put mind over matter, the easier that it gets. And the more that you start actually desiring, okay, my body no longer craves to listen to SZA and Summer Walker. Those are just examples. But my body no longer craves to listen to SZA and Summer Walker. I genuinely do crave to listen to a sermon or to listen to some more contemporary artists. Okay, my spirit can quite literally detect when something is going wrong, or when there's a scene about to come up on this show that I shouldn't watch, or when this song is about to say something that I know I really shouldn't be listening to. I can tell when my spirit is disturbed because I have exercised the muscle and started, instead of just directly listening to my flesh, to start listening to my spirit instead, and to be like, okay, I know my flesh wants to listen to shucks. When I was younger, it used to be like 21 Pilots. And I used to listen to a lot of alternative music, and it caused my mental health to be like literally in the toilet. But it's like, I even now, it's like, okay, my mind wants to listen to 21 Pilots. My mind wants to listen to SOBRBE. My mind wants to listen to Wally the Sensei or Kalan Faro. But I know that in my spirit, those kinds of songs or that music disturbs something in my spirit. Whether it's the language that they're using, whether it's the topics that they're singing about, whatever it is, I have been able to like replace what I used to listen to with something better. And I've allowed my mind to instead meditate on those things, meditate on things that are more productive, meditate on things that actually start glorifying God or start speaking life into me rather than putting somebody else down or calling somebody the B word or hitting a lick or whatever I used to be like, whatever the topic of the show was, the music was, whatever it was. Filling my mind instead with things that it actually liked instead of things that, maybe were trendy or maybe some things that we saw more so in the world. Like being able to instead fill my mind with music and shows and things that glorified God and somehow made me feel better, made me realize that I can live a life without things that don't make me feel good anymore. And that it's okay for me to now change what I listen to, change what I watch, change the habits that I have picked up, and to go as far as to say, I don't do those things anymore. I don't listen to those things anymore. I don't watch those things anymore. And, of course, there's an effect that has on your relationships and your community and your environment around you. But when you start to realize that you have power over the things that you like, that you have control over the things that your mind wants to hear or wants to feed into, some of those things start to not matter. You start to prioritize your holistic health, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health over what is common amongst men. It's the same with the physical diet. You ain't got to tell me that chicken is good. You ain't got to tell me that a chicken wing is bomb and busting. You ain't got to tell me that slices of pizza eat down. Like, you don't have to tell me that I would enjoy a slice of pizza. You don't have to tell me that I would enjoy some eggs, bacon, grits with triple butter and whatever else. You don't have to tell me that I would enjoy that. I know. But then what would happen to me? What would be the result on my body if I ate those things? I would feel groggy. I would feel lethargic. I might not get as much done. I would, experience cramps and gut issues and cyclical issues. Like, I would experience so many issues to the point where I would have to realize that eating those things is not worth it. It's the same thing with a spiritual diet. You don't have to tell me that Kaylani makes good music. You don't have to tell me Kaylon for real makes good music. You don't have to tell me that. I know a lot of people like Playboy Cardi and Yo Gotti. We do love Yo Gotti. But what's his name? Lil Yachty. Like, you don't have to tell me that the music is good, but then what is it doing to my spiritual diet if I'm listening to that? It's making me weak. It's bringing me closer to my flesh, and then it's weakening my spiritual immune system to all of these other things. And it's opening the gates to all these other things, like lust, like the desire to do drugs, like, what else? Because there are more sins than just lust and drugs. Those are just things that I struggle with. But it's like, if you have problems gossiping, if you have problems lying, if you like, there's always something fueling that. And if you separate yourself from the things that are unhealthy for you in any capacity, then you start to teach your body, mind, your soul. You start to show your body, your mind, and your soul the things that are healthy, and they start to crave that instead of what sounds good, what looks good, what's convenient, what's trendy, I hope that makes sense. Just that you have more power over your spiritual diet than you realize. And that when you see people who are so strong in their faith, when you see people who it looks like it's easy for them to give up this, that, and the third, understand that it's not. It takes a whole lot of discipline, but also understand that you can get there as well. If you have a certain goal that you are trying to reach, whether it is with your faith or with your discipline, or even with, some mental, physical goals, it first starts with understanding what you are already feeding yourself and what your body, mind, your soul is already craving, and just how you can give it maybe a healthy alternative. Yeah, that was my topic. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to make sure I touched on today. I also wanted to tell you about my purity ring. I have had my purity ring since October, and I just started wearing. I really didn't tell anybody. I was gonna post like some content about it, but I never did. I have a really big problem of like recording myself in stores. I just don't do it. But this is my purity ring. I started my abstinence journey after graduation, and in a month from this episode, so in May, I will have been abstinence for 2 years. And let me tell you something. It has not been easy. Have I fallen and getting back up? Yes, I have fallen and gotten back up. Have I had to really, really like give myself grace in this process? Yes, I have had to give myself a lot of grace in this process. But I started my abstinence journey in May, but I got my purity ring and I got rebaptized in July, but I got my purity ring in October. And so I have wanted the purity ring since starting the abstinence journey as a reminder of just like what I've committed myself to. And just a reminder of, and honestly, and I hate to say it like this, almost as a trophy. Like, I'm very proud of myself for making the conscious decision to not have sex until it's time, or to not provoke love until it's proper time, as they say on Songs of Solomon. And so this ring is an acknowledgement of the fact that I am proud of myself for making that decision. And so I wear it all the time. I started wearing it in this season, but I never explained why. I never talked about why. And for a while, I thought I lost it. And so I was sad about that, but it was in a jacket pocket. So I want to talk to you and acknowledge my purity ring. And for a while I was like, do I even get a purity ring because I was not a virgin? But the answer is yes, because God restores all things. Period. When I first started my journey of abstinence, I did not know if it was possible. I did not know if I was strong enough, and I did not know if it really meant anything to God because I had already had sex. I had already, my cherry was popped. I was not a virgin anymore. I was not, in biblical standards, I was not clean. And so that was a whole lot for me to deal with and to work through for myself. Like, how am I going to be honest and authentic about the fact that I am proud of myself for pursuing a journey of purity, pursuing a journey of abstinence, but that I was not always this way. And I think, first of all, I didn't get the purity ring for a long time, not because of that, but because I have this really bad habit of like needing permission to do almost anything, like especially when it comes to purchasing things. And this ring was not cheap, and so I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should. Not I don't know if I should. It was just like, oh my gosh, I just wait till the last minute to like buy everything. Like I wait till the last minute to get myself anything. And so I literally got myself the ring as a birthday present. And so I'm coming up on 2 years of abstinence. And it's a journey that I don't talk about often. It's a journey that I don't acknowledge often because sex is such a huge taboo topic, especially as a single woman. It's an extremely taboo topic. Like, how dare I even be thinking about it? But I live in a modern world where everyone is having sex. Everyone is having sex and everybody is having sex out of wedlock. And so a part of representation is understanding for me that it is okay for me to still save myself. It's okay for me to, even though I had sex before, even though I had sex out of wedlock, it is okay for me to now decide at any moment that that's not what I participate in anymore. That's not what I partake in anymore. That I am now a person who honors purity, who, and by purity, I mean like modesty. Like I honor my body as a temple. And I don't give it to everybody. Even if I like you, you know what I'm saying? I still can't give it to you. I can't give it to you because because sex is associated with marriage, and marriage is a covenant not just with another person, but with God as well. And so until I make that covenant, it'll be me, myself, and I. But it was hard for me in the beginning because as I mentioned in the episode about de-idolizing relationships, sexual ideations, sexual references, like lust, all of those things were so common in the environment that I was in, the culture that I'm around. And even today, we have gone back to this idea of like sex sells. And so you can imagine that it is not easy to pursue a life of discipline when everything in the world is telling you to throw that discipline away. But let me tell you, not just as somebody who has a purity ring, not just as somebody who practices abstinence, but as somebody who has practiced serious discipline, that it is possible. And that you do get to a point where you stop desiring things that no longer make you feel good or that no longer align with the goals that you have set for yourself. For me, I realized long before I actually decided to be abstinent that sex outside of marriage it wasn't pleasurable for me. It wasn't tasteful to me. I was doing it because it was routine. It was what was expected. And even because at some points my body desired it because that's where it got its intimacy. And so when I made the decision to cut that out of my life, the lust didn't go away. The idea that sex was a huge point of intimacy, or that immediate physical touch was a point of intimacy, or an easy point of intimacy, that idea didn't go away. It was me making the conscious efforts of, because at the time I was in a relationship, it was me making the conscious efforts of, okay, well, this is not what I'm interested in doing anymore. How can we now create a different point of connection? How can we equally make each other feel good and make each other feel connected and make each other feel happy and close, without this sexual component, without certain jokes, without certain exchanges being made? How can we do that? But then for me, it was, what can I now be filling my mind with? What can I now be filling my ears with? What can I be reading? How do I apply a scripture to this? Like, what can I be doing for myself to not only reinforce my why, but the Bible is it the sword of truth? Yeah, the Bible, in the armor of God, the Bible is the sword of truth, right? Yeah, hold on. Okay, I lied. The Bible is the sword of the Bible is the sword of the Spirit. Is it the belt of truth? Because what is it? Is it the breastplate of righteousness and the belt of truth? And then it's the sword of the Spirit? I don't know. I got to look it up. Jesus, I should know more than I do. But yeah, it's like the Bible is literally the sword of the Spirit. And so we literally are supposed to be reading the Bible to fight against, because we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with spirits and principalities, to literally fight against some of the negative thoughts, ideas, connotations, and fleshly desires that come with trying to establish discipline and trying to establish a relationship with God. And so literally, how can I apply the things that I learn, the things that I am ingesting, so that I don't feel lustful desires, so I don't feel lustful desires, and so that when things get hard, I don't get discouraged and think I can't do this anymore, or I'm just this bad person, so I should just do bad things because I'm a bad person, or God doesn't care about this anyway because I was never clean, I was never pure. Like, how do you fight against those ideas? What reinforcements can you put in place when those bad thoughts come so that you don't fall? And so for me, this journey has made me really, really intentional about, one, asking for help and looking for help within my community, finding sermons and scriptures and people who talk about what I've been going through instead of suffering in silence. Because if I were to suffer alone, that means I would never get the fulfillance that I need, and that has played a huge role in establishing my discipline, but also changing my spiritual diet. That's it. I knew I wanted to have an episode where I kind of talked about like my diet and my shifting diet. But I know for a fact that the discipline that I have in my spiritual diet, a lot of that came from the discipline that I'm trying to have in my spiritual life. And so I just wanted to give a word of encouragement. That's it. That's all. I never really know how to end our episodes, because I just be feeling like I say my piece and I get on. I feel like I say my piece, and I'm done. If you enjoyed this episode, if this was your first episode, woo, you came in when it was a doozy. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being in the classroom. We hope to see you coming back. If you made it all the way to the end of the episode, drop something in the comments. Tell me your favorite color in the comments. And if you're watching on Spotify, yes, that means you too. Okay, there's a Q&A section. I want you to tell me your favorite color. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I want you to go to YouTube and tell me your favorite color. I need your favorite color in the comments. And then don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Share with somebody who is, I don't know, share with somebody you love. I can't tell you who to share it with. Share with somebody who you love. Share with whoever was coming to your mind as I was talking. Because you know it's never just us out here. Share with somebody who encourages you. Share with somebody who maybe is interested in changing their diet. Share with somebody who is on a spiritual journey and is looking for a little extra discipline and needs a little more encouragement. Share with somebody you love. But yes, if you're not already, like, comment, subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to. It literally takes 2 seconds. If you are on Apple Podcasts, follow us there. I think it's a follow, not a subscribe. Follow us there. If you are on Spotify, subscribe to us there. If you are on YouTube, subscribe to us there. Whatever platform you are listening to, come on, be an official member of the family. Yeah. And if you guys have any feedback for me, if you have any ideas, if you are not already, follow us on Instagram at What School Didn't not at What School Didn't Teach Me. Follow us on Instagram at WSDTM Pod. WSDTM Pod. If you haven't already, the RSVP link to our live pod. If this is your first time here, you really got a doozy because now you see what it's going to be like for the live pod. RSVP. The RSVP link will be in the show notes. Y'all, the event is free. Free 99. I'm not charging you nothing. I just want you to be there so that we can be there and commune and celebrate and talk together. I'm really expecting y'all to talk to me for this live pod, okay? I'm really expecting a little chitter chatter, a little giggle at this live pod. So if you have not already, RSVP in the link below or in the show notes. Yeah, I need to see you there. I hope to see you there. I love y'all so much. Yeah, thank y'all for being here, and I'll see y'all next week. Hopefully I see you in May, but I'll for sure see you next week. But I better see you in May. Okay, love you. Bye.
Wait, before you go, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, if you haven't RSVP'd for our first free live podcast on May 23rd, yes, Friday, May 23rd, doors open at 5:30 p.m., please do so. We'll actually be having it at Hill City Church. The links are in our Instagram bio, RSVP on Eventbrite. Go to Instagram at WSDTM Pod. Click the link in my bio and RSVP for our first free live podcast. You don't want to miss it. Okay, have a great day. Bye.